The Human Nature Channel presents Don't Eat the Deadly Chili, based on a true story. On Saturdays, the Walking Talking Human Encyclopedia cooks dinner for me at his residence. The cleanup man, his roommate with a room on the second floor, also cooks me dinner from time to time. The purpose of both dinners is to have a full stomach in preparation for a night of heavy drinking and movie viewing until the wee hours of the morning. The cleanup man is something of a gourmet. The Walking Talking Human Encyclopedia fancies himself something of a gourmet, so there is a level of competition going on here. I usually get to their house around 5:30 in the afternoon. After dinner, the Walking Talking Human Encyclopedia and I will leave, hop into my car and drive over to my place where there's a big screen TV, a shitload of DVDs, some which you can see in the background, and the aforementioned night of heavy drinking. Wastrels in the grand tradition are we. One particular Saturday around 3 in the afternoon, I was puttering around the apartment when my cell phone lit up. I picked it up and I saw I had a text message from the cleanup man. The text said, "Call me, urgent." Okay, I punched in his number and put the phone to my ear. After a few rings, he answered. I said, "What's up?" He said, "Dude, is he cooking you dinner today?" I said, "Yeah." "Well, you know how I am about food preparation, and I don't like the way he's been handling that pound of ground meat." "Oh," I said, "what's he doing wrong?" "Well, first he left that frozen ground meat out in the alley so the dogs could piss all over it to thaw it out." "Oh," I said, "yeah, and the dogs wouldn't even eat it. That should tell you something." "It does," I said. Then he takes that pound of ground meat back inside and puts it on the kitchen counter under the hanging fly strip. He lets it sit there for 3 days. And dude, you know how that fly strip is. There are so many dead flies on it, you can't see the sticky surface anymore. And the flies, they're falling apart. Legs and wings and heads are sprinkling down on whatever's under them. "Oh my gosh," I said, becoming alarmed. Then he said, "Your friend takes that ground meat and puts it on a plate. He puts a whole bunch of diced onions on the plate and carries it into the bathroom. With the plate on his lap, he was mixing the onions into the meat while taking a shit." "Oh my gosh," I said. "And he didn't even wash his hands after." Dude, if I were you, I'd try and find some way to get out of eating whatever it is he wants to cook. "Okay," I said, "I get the picture. If his handling of the ground meat is as bad as you say, I'll need a backup plan." "I know. If he hasn't started cooking yet, I'll say, 'Hey, no sense in you slaving over a hot stove at this late date. We'll just go over to my place and I'll spring for a battleship from the triangle. That should work.'" "Good," said the cleanup man. "I thought it only fair to warn you. And don't tell him I said any of this." "Okay, I won't. And I appreciate the heads up. Thank you." "You're welcome. What are friends for anyway, huh?" So 5:30 rolled around and I'm walking up the steps and onto the porch. The front door was unlocked, so I stepped in, and after closing the door, I went through the hall and into the kitchen. There was the Walking Talking Human Encyclopedia, wearing a white chef's hat and apron, holding the end of a wooden spoon and stirring whatever was inside a tall steel pot with multiple streaks of something brown escaping down the sides. The streaks traveled all the way to the gas stove's flame, where they met with hissings and sputterings. As the Walking Talking Human Encyclopedia stirred, a dark gray cloud rose from the pot and collected before the doors of the upper cabinets. Hey, I said. He looked away from the pot and said, Hola, we're having chili tonight. Chili, I said. Yeah, last Saturday we talked about having chili today and you said fine. Remember? Oh, yeah, I remember. Good, because you're in for a treat. This is a family recipe. Oh, good, I said. I'll just go into the dining room and take off my coat. I turned and went through the doorway between the rooms. Just inside the dining room and on the wall was a rotary dimmer switch, one of those kinds where you have to press the button to turn on the chandelier full of CFL bulbs. You can turn the knob one way and make it go bright, turn it the other way and make it go dark, or make it just so you can see what the hell you're doing. The chandelier, which was bizarre enough, hung over a dining room table with 5 chairs, 2 on either side and 1 at the end, all squeezed together because the other half of the table was stacked halfway to the ceiling with books and newspapers, Arby's coupons, and DVDs. On the last bare space available, a lot of miniature figurines and dramatic poses from Dungeons and Dragons, trolls and giants and everything in between were all scattered about as if making a prison break from a security max, and this was the view from the sheriff's helicopter. After emptying the contents of my pockets on the table, I hung my coat on the furthest chair, then sat. I grabbed the ashtray, which was a little ceramic statuette of some character you'd see sitting cross-legged at a Rusted Root concert. He wore a green shirt with a medallion around his neck, and on his head was a fat knit hat in African yellows and greens with some dreadlocks sticking out from under. He had a patchy beard and sunglasses, and pinched between the thick ceramic lips was a roach so huge the bright end could be a postcard sunset. Above his head, Atlas style, he held an ashtray. We're in this together, I said to Ashtray Man, and I reached for my pack of Dunhills. Ha! Suddenly, the cell phone went off in my pocket. I reached in and pulled it out and checked the message. The text said, he made chili. I texted back, I know. I slipped the cell phone back in my pocket. A mistake since it went off a second later. I pulled it out and opened and read the next message. Did you eat the chili yet? No, not yet, I replied, and I put the cell phone on the table. The walking, talking human encyclopedia came into the dining room carrying spoons and napkins. Who is texting you, he said. The man upstairs, I said. Well, what does he want? And without waiting for an answer, he returned to the kitchen. Oh, he wants to know what we're doing tomorrow, I said. The cell phone went off again. Again, I flipped the lid and checked the message. I wouldn't eat it if I were you. I texted back, I'll take my chances. I put the phone back on the table. Through the doorway into the kitchen, I could see the walking, talking human encyclopedia with his back to me, once again at the stove, having resumed stirring that chili with a wooden spoon. He kept stirring for a few moments, then stopped and gawked. He removed a stick because the bowl of the spoon had fallen into the chili. Oops, he said, and started to laugh. This spoon comes in 2 pieces. I'll need another. He walked to his right and out of view. My cell phone went off again. Again, I picked it up and checked the message. I warn you. The walking and talking human encyclopedia stuck his head through the doorway and said, tell him you're eating. I closed the phone. I think he said everything he's wanting to say. The walking and talking human encyclopedia ducked back into the kitchen. A few minutes later, minus chef's hat and apron, he returned carrying a steaming earthen bowl in each hand. He placed the bowl of chili before me. He placed his at the head of the table where he usually sits. He turned and left the dining room and seconds later returned, this time carrying 1 plate with a gray-white mountain of diced onions and another of a greenish-yellow mountain of diced jalapeno peppers. He put both plates before me, then plopped into his chair. He picked up his spoon and looked at me with a grin. Dig in, he said. I picked up my spoon and I noticed my hand was shaking. I said, how many of those onions can I have? You can have as much as you like, he said. And the jalapenos? Same. With my left hand, I reached forward and grabbed the plate of onions. I brought it over, and with my spoon, I scraped it all into the chili. I put the plate back, then grabbed the plate of jalapenos and repeated the process. My theory was, if there was anything bad in the ground meat, the combination of onions and jalapenos should kill it. I took my spoon and dipped in and began to stir. As I did, I looked over at the walking, talking human encyclopedia. I noticed he ate chili with a rotary hand motion that had a disturbing resemblance to a spinning blade on a push mower. I went back to the chili I was stirring. Then I stopped. The moment of truth had arrived. I can't stir forever. With my spoon, I scooped up some of the chili, opened my mouth, and let it slide in. After thoroughly chewing the jalapenos and onions and beans and meat, I swallowed. How is it? Asked the walking, talking human encyclopedia. Good, I said. My pack of Dunhills was near my left hand. Dropping my spoon into the chili, which got sucked down like into quicksand, I slid out a cigarette. I popped it into my mouth and grabbed the lighter. I grabbed the white guy with dreadlocks ceramic ashtray and pulled him close. Switching my cigarette to my left hand, I grabbed my spoon. I had work to do. Care for some music? Said the walking, talking human encyclopedia, and he got up and went into the kitchen to turn on the radio. I remember thinking, what are friends for anyway? Have a good one.